Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. We actually have a bike to review compared to last week. We had an invisible one that was pushing around. You guys couldn't see it. It was pretty awesome, but at least you can see this one. Now you guys probably already know what it is. A lot of YouTubers have already actually reviewed this bike. I'm a little bit behind. I was actually waiting for the F3 to come from FREEGO, so there is an upgraded model from this one. So this is kind of in the middle because they have the F1, the F2, and the F3. Now this is the F2 Pro. The difference with the F2 Pro is a 1400 watt motor in the back compared to the 1200 watt motor on the non-Pro version. You also get a 22.5 amp hour battery on the Pro model, but I will say I'm pretty sure they're using the same motor on the non-Pro version. It's just they're probably upping the amps on the controller or doing some tuning in the software and stuff to give it a little bit more power in the back. But it's a pretty nice bike. I mean, it's $18.99 right now on sale. You guys can use my discount code. I think get $100 off. This is called like a cargo bike. Doesn't look like a cargo bike really. It does come with this bag for free, which is pretty nice. I'll show you guys in a little bit with a camera. It does come with a passenger seat back here. Keep in mind this bike only does about like 330 pounds weight capacity for 2 riders. So, you know, you're kind of limited depending on your guys' weight. If you guys are probably 150, 160 pounds, you guys shouldn't have a problem, but anything over that is gonna be an issue overloading the suspension. Now, if you're not gonna ever take anyone on this bike, you can opt to replace this seat with a cargo rack back here. It's like a little box that sits there. It's almost like a milk crate, but a little bit bigger. And it's like $100 extra on their website. And then you can take it to the store, load your groceries up in there, and it would be perfect. But let me bring you in here with the camera. Let's kind of go over a little bit of the bike real quick. I don't want to spend too much time out here because it's warming up in California and I'm already hot. I normally have a jacket on right now. You guys are gonna notice I'm just in a regular shirt. Got my microphone up here. Things are different. Things are changing. So let me bring you in here with the camera, then we'll get our GoPro and then we'll head out. All right, so let's start on the back and go over the bike a little bit. So we have a brake light right under here. It's decently bright. It does work with the brake levers. Depending on which one you hit, it will work with both of them, doesn't matter. You got the FREEGO cut out here in the frame. They put the F2 logo right there with a sticker. I don't know why. I'd probably just rip that off right away. I don't think it's necessary. You do have some plastic fenders, which definitely saves weight on this bike because this bike is like 77 or 78 pounds. This thing is absolutely pretty light when I took it out of the box. So yeah, these are very flimsy, but they're gonna do the job, you know? They're not the best quality, but honestly, it's not that bad. I'm not complaining about it. Down here is where you're gonna have your claim to be 1400 watt motor right here. Who knows how well that is, but you guys can see the numbers on there. It doesn't say anything. If it's a 750,000 watt, 1200 watt, it doesn't say anything on there. But like I said, I think they're just really pushing the controller to push more power out of it. So your max power is probably 1400. You got some nice, decent tires on here. They're good for street and off-road. The only bad thing about these tires is you might get a flat when riding because these are very, very thin. So right in between these grooves right here, you can easily get a flat. I'm telling you, it's happened many times and many bikes come with these types of tires. Connected to that motor, you have a 7-speed from Shimano. You also have pegs on this side. They flip out. Make sure you put them the right way if you have to install them. I've seen some reviewers have to install them and some put them backwards. On mine, they already came pre-installed, which is very nice, so I didn't have to do anything with it. You do have the FREEGO logo right there as well. You have a decent shock right here. I'll tell you about it in a little bit when we start riding because I did take it up and down the street. You do have the shotgun logo right here. You do have a decently sized chainring. It's not overly big, but it's not overly small like the Rev 1, so I don't mind that. You will see that they did also paint the bolts. So on both sides, they kind of just basically painted the frame with this connected. I mean, it is what it is. It looks a little messy when you see it up close, but no one's really gonna notice it while you're just out riding. Moving on up here, you have the massive battery that we talked about. This is a 22.5 amp hour battery. It's over 1,000 watt hours of juice. You also have a USB plug right here, which is super nice if you want to charge like your phone or accessories or even a GoPro, you know, just in case you're out there riding and it dies. It's nice to have something like that. I did notice that there are some clips on this bike. If I zoom in, you guys can see what I'm talking about. So there's like one right here, there's one right up here, and then you got a bunch like way down here. And I'm assuming it's because they were gonna run the wires to maybe the controller that way, but instead they ran everything under here, so it looks super clean. You don't see none of these wires at all. The only wires you see are that come out right there and go to the front headlight and the handlebar setup. All the rest of the wires that run off the battery run right down here. Not a single problem with that. Very, very clean when you really step back from the bike and you look at it. Moving on up to the front of the bike, you do have adjustable suspension up at top, so compression and preload up there. So the red is the compression and the other side is preload. Then you have a nice decent headlight right here. We'll have to test it out at night and actually see how it works. So we'll take it to work one of these days. Down here you do have another plastic fender just like the back. Same tires up front. They're FREEGO branded forks. You have some DY Island brakes. I've actually had very good luck with these brakes in the past on other e-bikes, so I'm very excited to test them out. And they are also 180 millimeter rotors, which I think is perfect for this type of bike. Now the best thing I loved about these brakes on my other bike that I got is they have actual adjustments right here. So you don't need to go to your toolbox and grab an Allen and try to adjust this. You can literally just move it with your hand and you can tighten this up or loosen it up however it feels good for you. And then overall adjustments over time as your brake pads wear down, you can just kind of move this around and get it perfectly where you want it. All right, so now we're sitting on the bike, and I will say that it is a little cramped compared to other e-bikes. It's not as long as some other e-bikes I've been on. So I did have to push the handlebars ever so slightly out just a little bit. Normally I have the handlebars like straight up and down with the forks, but on this one I actually pushed them out a little bit to have more room while riding. So let's start over on this side. You do have some very cheap grips. Honestly, I hate these. I understand they're trying to cut costs and stuff like that, but these are just garbage. But the good thing is Amazon, like 11, 12 bucks, you can replace these easily, so it's not too big of a deal. You have a bell right here. It's actually pretty loud. I would have liked a horn, but again, we're cutting little corners right here because we're trying to get a price under $2,000. You do have your nice display right here. It's not too bad. A lot of mountain bikes come with this, and I don't think the battery's on, so that's why it's not turning on, but I'll show you guys in a sec. Moving on to this side is where you have your Shimano levers and all that kind of stuff to shift your gears, and then you have a half throttle. It's basically the same grip on the other side. Not that great. If you guys ever want to change it out, it is pretty simple. You just got to trace the cable back and find it, unplug it, and then you can get your own thumb throttle or full throttle depending on what you like. Now let me go back to this because I did turn the battery on. I want to make sure you guys know the battery and the bike actually turns on and works. The cool thing I like about this is that there are some menu options that you can do. So you have your power, you have your assist. So obviously you have 5 modes of like pedal assist. You have your current, you have your mile per hour. I like when I hit this because you got trip, then you got voltage. Voltage is the best thing to go off of when knowing where your battery is at. So 54.3 on voltage is awesome. I think you can go down to about 40 or something like that. Not mistaken, but just know your chart and then you'll know when you're about to run out of juice for good. Don't go off the battery bars, go off this voltage right here. And then you have current. I don't know if current works. It didn't work on another bike we tested, but we'll see if it works on this one. And then you got your whole time the bike's been on. It's been on for like 47, 48 seconds. And then go over here. This is your odometer. I haven't put a mile on this bike yet because I definitely want to ride it for the first time, giving you guys my first impression on it. So here is the bag right down here. It already comes pre-installed. You do not have to install this on the bike. The only weird thing you have to put on this bike, which I totally forgot to mention, is the brake rotors. For some reason, they make you put the brake rotors on this bike. I've never had an e-bike tell me to install brake rotors, but honestly, it wasn't that bad, and it comes with all the tools you need. But coming back up here, you guys can see the inside of this bag right here. Not too bad. There's a lot of space to put stuff. So you have a little thing right here, you got one right here, and then you also have one down here. Now you probably don't want to put your phone down here just in case you don't want to get it scratched with the bolts and stuff like that. So yeah, just put it on one of the other things or put a pad down there. But it's pretty cool that it comes with that for free. So if you need to turn the headlight on, you hold this and then your headlight comes on. So let me turn the lights off and we'll see how this looks. So I don't have a single light in my garage at all. I don't even have the garage light on. I turned off all the lights on the top. And this is how the light looks. It's not looking too bad. Not bad at all. Okay, it's pointed up a little higher than it should be, but that looks actually pretty bright. It doesn't look that wide, but it definitely looks bright. Now let's see how the brake light looks. Now I will admit, the brake light is lacking a little bit. I've seen this on other e-bikes like the Aerial Rider Kepler, and that's just not doing it. Now if you do hit the brake lever, obviously it is going to get brighter, of course, but it's just not that bright to begin with. All right, so I think we covered a lot on this bike already. Let's put our GoPro helmet on. Let's go out there, go ride the bike, and then we'll come back and I'll give you my final thoughts on it. All right, so we're on the FREEGO. And the first test I want to do, because we already know we have a full battery charge. Our tires are aired up to 20 PSI. That's what the max says on them. And it's saying that we're doing 30 miles an hour, now 31, 32. 33. Come on, let's go. You go faster. Come on, come on. 34. All right, so I saw the top speed of 34.5 on this bike. Now, do I feel like I'm going that fast? No. I feel like I'm going like 29 to 30 miles an hour roughly. It still feels very good. There's no complaints at all. That's pretty fast for an e-bike. And realistically, legal reasons, you're not supposed to go faster than 28 miles per hour on an e-bike anyway if it's class 3 in your area. Most other places are like 20 miles an hour, so it just really depends. And that's a big truck. Don't hit me. Now I'm gonna pull over here by this church because I actually am recording the speed, so I'm gonna see how accurate that 34.5 mile per hour was on here compared to my phone GPS. So give me 1 sec. I conveniently have my phone in here, so now I can see all my stuff, which is actually kind of nice. Now I don't have it in my pocket. It's not hitting my side or anything like that. It actually feels pretty good. All right, so, okay, so we did 31.3 miles per hour. That's not bad. So basically what that is telling me is that this is off by about 3 miles per hour. So when it says we're doing 34, we're doing 31. And then when we're doing like 32 miles an hour, we're doing like 29 miles an hour. Okay, so at least you guys have an idea, because I'm not gonna have my phone up here on how fast we're going when you look at this display. Another thing you guys are probably wondering is, how fast does this bike feel? Does it feel like it's 1400 watts or not? And I'll be honest, no, it doesn't feel like it has 1400 watts. Maybe like randomly it will peak to 1400 watts, but it doesn't hold 1400 watts at all. It really feels like a 1000 watt hub motor in the back. It definitely feels better than a 750 watt motor, but at the same time, it really depends on the controller that they put in this bike. And I just don't think it's a very high amp controller. I feel like it's anywhere from a 20 amp to a 24 amp. I know the Rev 1 is about a 28 plus or minus 1, and that thing feels like it takes off faster than this thing. But then again, this thing is a lot cheaper. With my discount code, it's probably somewhere around like 1,700 bucks, and you do get a bag. I mean, it is saving you a lot of money at the end of the day compared to $2,400 for the Rev 1. So I understand the price difference and the parts that they used and how this bike feels. If you just want something a little bit more premium, just spend a little bit more money. But if this is kind of in your price range, so far it's not bad. Now I'm gonna take it off road a little bit, but real quick, I'm gonna do a 0 to 30 mile per hour test on here, and we're gonna see how it is. And then after that, when I take it off road, I wanna talk to you guys about the suspension. It's like the first thing I noticed when I got this bike is sitting on it hitting bumps. The suspension is odd. All right, so we're gonna do this test 2 times. The first time I'm gonna do it, it's gonna be throttle only, no pedaling whatsoever, and then we're gonna do it again when we get up there, and we're gonna pedal only, and we're not gonna use the throttle. So let's do this. 1, 2, 3, go. I gotta say though, the 0 to like 5 or 0 to 6 mile per hour, getting up to speed like that, it actually picks up pretty good. I'm not complaining. So 25, 26, 27, 28, we're running out of road, 29, almost 29, which is 3 miles an hour off, so we're going a little bit slower than that. So most bikes on my test can actually hit their top speed before we run out of road on that section right there. So that kind of shows you that this bike isn't as fast as other e-bikes out there on the market. It's kind of, I would say it's in the middle, if not right below the middle of most of these e-bikes coming out in 2023. But anyways, we're going to use the shifter at the same time. Let me get it in gear number 1, then we'll go through it, and then we'll just use the pedals on this run. 1, 2, 3, go. Come on. Go, go, go. All right, there we go. It wasn't in gear number 1. So 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I didn't have a problem at all shifting through any of those. I felt no jerkiness at all. It felt a little weird in gear number 1, but it wasn't fully engaged in that gear. But after it did, it was perfectly fine. 26, 27. I am definitely ghost pedaling. I'm basically just moving the pedals just to kind of get the bike to turn the motor on. And we're doing 30 miles an hour, which is technically about 27 in that run. Now, something I noticed with using this bike one-handed, it is not the most stable. If you guys can see that, the bars are going ever so slightly sideways. So I highly suggest keeping both your hands on this bike at all times. or maybe you can air the tire down, or maybe just switch out the tires in general. These tires aren't like the best. And it looks like we keep getting more trash in this section. So anyways, here's how the bike looks in the sun. Not too bad. If you really look at the bike in pictures and in video, it actually looks pretty nice. In person, I will say the paint looks kind of on the cheaper side. There's no gloss to it whatsoever. It's just like a flat color. So if you kind of like that, you know, you don't want it really popping too much, then you're good on that. Here's your pegs. We showed you guys earlier, but the only thing I don't know, and I don't think anyone else knows, is how high of a weight capacity is this? Like, can I actually stand on them and like try to do tricks? Can I do wheelies on this thing? I have no idea because there is no weight limit for these. So use them at your own risk. I think they're really just going to be if you have a passenger and they just got to put their feet somewhere so they're not hitting you or hitting the pedals. I do like that nothing hits the pedals while you move. The kickstand's not in the way, so that's pretty good. I just wish they would get rid of these stickers right here. There's no reason to put this sticker on. And there's also no reason for them to put this sticker on that says technical support. Just leave it in the box. The other FREEGO bike I tested out without having this here, there's a big logo right there. And I'm like, why? Why put this on the bike? We're going to take it off anyway, and then it leaves that sticky residue behind. So I just wish they would get rid of it. Now, the next thing I want to talk to you guys about on this bike is the shock. So we're going to take it off road, and I'm definitely going to have a good opinion on this shock right now because you'll see in a second. All right, so I am 160 pounds on a heavy day, maybe 165 pounds. I'm about 5'10", roughly, and it just, I don't know, I feel like the rear suspension is made for someone heavier, or it's made to actually use it to have weight in the back, because it is just stiff. It feels like it's almost bottoming out. There's not really a lot of travel to the back, but I'm just noticing that I barely hit like anything, and it just kind of like, you feel it, like it pops, but it just springs you back up. So it's not very comfortable. It's better than no suspension at all, I'll give it that. It feels like you went to the bike store and you got a suspension seat post. You have a little bit of travel, but it kind of like jolts you up depending on when you hit like a pothole or anything. It kind of just like, it gets stuck. And it also makes noise too, which I'm not sure if you're gonna hear it over the GoPro, but oh God, we're going fast. But I don't know, it's not the best. So off-roading, now the tires are doing better off-road than they were doing on the street. I don't feel any crazy vibrations. I still don't want to take one hand off the bike, but it's actually handling off-road very well. Other than that rear suspension, man, if that rear suspension was a little bit better, I'd give a higher rating, but I'm gonna have to rate this at probably like 6.5 out of 10 off-road. It's not the best, but it's not the worst. Now, turning wise on this bike, it's actually surprisingly like quick. Very responsive to turn. It's very light of a bike. It is like fantastic if you want to like take corners, especially if you're going to change out these street tires. That is absolutely fantastic. There's no bike weight to really carry around when you're like turning it and stuff like that. It feels so good. Ooh, see, okay, so I'm whoa, I got air. My ass got air on the seat. I'm not kidding. This thing is like, it just sprung me up. Like, I just like went, woo. I'm telling you guys, this rear suspension is just too stiff, at least for my weight anyway. All right, we normally do our brake test around this area, but really quick, I've still been recording my top speed, and I want to see if anything has changed in the last time we've been riding. 31.6 miles per hour, so we gained 0.3 miles per hour. All right, so this is a 31 mile per hour bike at being 160 pounds. If you're over 160 pounds, maybe you might get less top speed. Just keep that in mind. And if you're definitely like my buddy Johnny that weighs like 110, you're definitely probably gonna be doing like 33 miles an hour. All right, let's do this brake test. All right, I'm trying to get up to speed as fast as possible. 26, 27, 28, 29, go. Whew. Yo, man, all right, let's see how that worked. Okay, not bad. It's not as fast as I wanted to go on this bike. We're probably doing about like 25, 26, like real GPS. So it's not terrible, but let's run this test back and do it all over again. I'll try to go a little bit faster. All right, we're definitely going faster this time. 30, 31, 32 almost, go. Woohoo! All right. Now it's not terrible. It's a little worse than some bikes. It's kind of, I want to say that's like average, or maybe slightly below average. I'm gonna give the brakes, the way they feel, and they didn't lock up, and I was holding on them pretty good. You don't really want your brakes to lock up because you're gonna ruin the back tire, so I gotta give them credit for that. I'm gonna give these brakes roughly like a 6.5 out of 10. They feel great in the hands. You have these like adjustments we talked about earlier in the beginning of the video. I love that. But they still didn't stop very well compared to other bikes. Normally, I'm not this close to this little white line when I do my braking test. So that's where I'm gonna leave it on the brake rating. Now, another test we do on this channel is we gotta see the throttle response, and we also have to see the response on the pedals. So let's do this test right now. So 1, 2, 3. Pretty responsive. 1, 2, 3. That's like a half-second delay. Not bad at all. That's kind of normal. That's actually pretty damn good. I have to give that like a 9 out of 10 because it's pretty much spot on. The only way you're gonna get any better than that is if you have a custom controller and you adjust your settings to have like 0 milliseconds until your like bike takes off and all that kind of stuff. So that's really good. Let's test out the pedals now. All right, so 1, 2, 3, go. Ooh, come on, pedals. Whoa, what's going on here? What took so long? I gotta do that again. I don't know what's going on. I'll try to pedal a little bit harder. What? You guys can see there's no power. There's no power. Now it's kicking on. Why is there like a 5-second delay on the pedals? Are you guys timing that? Someone grab their stopwatch. All right, 1, 2, 3, go. Come on, bike. Whoa, man, do not rely on the pedal system. Maybe there's something you can do in the advanced settings and adjust like how fast the pedals come on, but man, that's horrible. I'm gonna have to give that like a 2 out of 10. That's probably the worst I've ever felt on a bike. So do not rely on these pedals at all. Now, there is a safety thing with that, though, I will say, not to try to stand up for FREEGO or anything like that, but if you are coming to a stop and someone's new on a bike and you accidentally rotate the crank like that and you're coming to a stop and you're trying to stop, the bike will just take off if you have a very sensitive sensor in there that goes off with any type of touch of the pedals. So that is a safety thing for new people, but people that are very familiar with e-bikes, that's kind of that's a downgrade right there. I don't know, that's too late of a response. I can't deal with that. But then again, half of these bikes out on the market, no one's really pedaling them, especially a bike like this. You guys really aren't probably gonna buy it to pedal. But some people do wanna kind of do both. They wanna use throttle, but then they also wanna pedal here and there, and I get that. This is not gonna be the bike for you if you wanna pedal, I'm sorry. I would say look elsewhere. The Traxxas Explorer, even though it's not a moped cargo type of bike, it's a big mountain bike, that is the best bike I've ever like rode that is great for pedaling. It's so responsive. It's actually like too responsive where I almost crashed a couple times on it. But that is a perfect bike to pedal. Or the C3 Strom, because the seating position puts your legs out a little bit like this and you have a little bit more room if you're a taller person. On this bike, it just feels like you're ghost pedaling after like 18 miles an hour, which is pretty low. So yeah, I don't recommend it for pedaling at all. Oh, the pants are gone. If you guys are new to my channel, there's normally pants that sit right here, so I'm pretty sure someone will make a comment and say something. Someone had to take them and put them somewhere. All right, let's go off the curb really quick. Whoa! Oh my God! Oh my God, that scared me. So, this bike is so light. I lifted it up like all my other e-bikes, and when I hit the throttle, it started doing a wheelie off the curb, and I landed on the back tire and just kind of rode on the back tire a little bit. Holy moly, I felt like I was trying to do a wheelie, and I am not a wheelie guy. I am not a wheelie guy at all. I'm not trying to get hurt or fall down. That was sketchy, but that just goes to show you that this bike is so light, and that's why it's easy to turn. That's why you're gonna get good mileage on it. If you notice, we haven't even went down a battery bar yet, and I have 6 miles on the bike. That is absolutely fantastic. But just keep in mind, I already said, it is not a 1400 watt filling e-bike. It's not filling that fast to me. I've had other e-bikes that had 1,000-watt motors that felt way faster than this thing. So just keep that in mind. Don't go off of the marketing of the bike like that. Just go off if you really like the design of this bike. Go off if you like the price of it and what it comes with. And then, yeah, make your decision from that point. Oh, and we just finally went down a battery bar. Now that's under load, so I don't know if it's gonna jump back up and go off of the voltage reading. But we're down to 5 battery bars, like out of 6 now. But we're still getting very good range. 7 miles, not too bad. Can't complain. Oh yeah, we did go back up a battery bar now because it's going off of the voltage sag. But the cool thing is, just do this. Check this out, I'll pull over here. We'll go into the actual voltage of the e-bike. And it says we were at 50.8. Now, if I let the bike sit for a little second, it's 59 or 50.9, and now it's gonna jump up to 51. And 51 for voltage on this bike is roughly about 77%. So it's not too bad. We're about like a quarter of the way down on the bike. And like I said, we did 7 miles. So let's just say 7, 14, 21, 28. You're gonna be getting about 28 miles on this bike roughly. I mean, that's kind of a rough estimate, to be straight up honest with you guys. Take that with a grain of salt. But that's not too bad with full throttle. Now, if you don't use full throttle, use pedal assist 1, you actually pedal the bike and give the bike a little bit of assistance and maybe do like 10 miles an hour, I can definitely see people getting about 50 miles of range out of this bike. It's just how well you're gonna ride the bike. It's also gonna depend on your terrain going up and down hills. It's also gonna depend on your own weight. If you're a heavy person or a lighter person, just keep that in mind with every single electric vehicle, car, skateboard, whatever you have. It's all the same. It's always gonna be slightly different for everybody. All right, so we're gonna head back to the house. I'm not doing a range test in this video, and we're not doing a night riding video. We'll do that in a separate video coming up when I go back and forth to work. Give me probably like a week, maybe a week and a half. I got some other things we gotta work on in the garage. But I'll give you my final thoughts at the house right now, so give me 1 sec. All right, guys, we're back in the garage. Had to put a hat on because my hair's all jacked up. I know a lot of you guys are gonna ask me if this bike is worth it or not. And with my discount code, 1,700 bucks, I think, because you get $100 off using it, it's not terrible. I mean, for what you get, it's not bad at all. Most bikes in 2023 now are coming with turn signals, but I'll be honest, it's mostly a gimmick. Like, you don't technically need turn signals on a bike. It's cool to have, don't get me wrong. I like having them on my bikes, but do I ever use them? Not really. I would have liked to seen an actual horn on this bike, but it is a bell. I mean, it's better than nothing, I guess. The shifter was fine. The half throttle, even though I do not like these grips, if you do have some nice comfortable gloves, you're not gonna worry about the grips too much, but if you're actually using your hands, they don't feel that great. The BMX handlebars are awesome. The bag that you get right here is awesome. I think I still have my phone sitting in here right now. It's probably still recording stuff. Yeah, I was still recording my GPS when we were trying to see how fast this bike goes. So I like this. I actually have the keys in here as well, just in case you have to take the battery off. Another thing is, I didn't mention, they give you 3 keys, which is awesome. Most companies just give you 2. So maybe you can have a spare somewhere, put another one at a buddy's house or something, or have one in here just in case, you know, and maybe if you take a spill, maybe you lose it out of here, you'll have 2 other keys, which is pretty nice. I like the back right here because you have a nice seat to put like your wife on there, your kid, or just, you know, hike someone real quick. Maybe their bike broke down, you got to put them on there really quick, you know, and go down to the place, get some patches or something. That's pretty cool. Or you can put a cargo thing on the back. So I like the fact that they have that on there. It does make the bike a little bit shorter for me. I'm 5'10". I would have liked to seen the seat go from there to maybe here, just because I really was trying to sit as far as I could. So I was probably sitting on this back section. But this bike is very popular and no one has a big problem with it. You do have adjustable suspension. I put it on the softest setting. There is no adjustments on the rear. I think that's a huge negative because that shock is just, it's not good for this bike. I just feel like it's too heavy of a shock unless you really use this for hauling a lot of weight around, or you're a heavier person, then it's probably gonna be better for you. But for my weight, I didn't like the rear shock. The power on it is okay. It feels like 1,000 watts. It does not feel like 1,400 watts, but it still feels good. The range seems like it's gonna be fantastic for this type of bike. I'm not complaining on that whatsoever. It is not a good bike to pedal whatsoever. So if you're someone that likes to pedal on their bike, Unless you're gonna be doing like 10 to 15 miles an hour, then okay, I would say the pedals are gonna be cool. But if you're going like 20, 25, 30 miles an hour on this bike, the pedals are garbage. They're not gonna work too good for you. But it's not bad. 1,700 bucks using my code. I mean, I can't say anything too bad about it. I will say that the BR100 bike is better than this. I will say the speed on both of them are probably the same. They both pick up the same. This one does sit lower than the BR100, and the BR100 sits a lot taller. So this is gonna be better for shorter riders, which I'll actually sit on the bike right now because the BR100 was such a tall bike. But it reminds me of that bike because you had a bag down here, and this one comes with a bag up front, so you have somewhere to put like your accessories and stuff like that. But I sit very comfortably on this bike. I can flat foot it, if you guys can see my feet, hopefully. I don't have a single problem sitting on it. I did move the bars up ever so slightly, but my riding comfortable position would be like right here, and I'm almost sitting on the back. So I have to kind of sit like this, and I feel like I'm just ever so slightly close to the front. If you're over 6 foot, you might be a little cramped, especially when pedaling. You could ride like this if you want, do the Superman, but it's not too bad of a bike. So I'm gonna leave you guys on that. If you guys like how this bike looks, it's very popular in the market, you guys can go pick it up. Use the link down in the description with the coupon code. I'll also put it on the screen on the bottom, and have a fun time out there riding, guys. Just be safe, wear a helmet, and always be looking out for traffic. So I'll see you guys in the next one. You guys are true MVPs. Peace.